Coach, welcome back to the show, by the way. Dan Campbell, coach of the Lions. The press conference, that we loved it. Now, we ate it up, and we had you on after that. You know, the kneecaps and taking a hunk, and we're going to go back and smile. I could see like Dan Campbell like bleeding and smiling at somebody. Like that's the kind of sadistic image which you need to try to get out of this. The words you said back then, do you sense that you have enough guys on the team now that are able to carry out that? I'm not saying win 10 or 11 games, but guys that are willing to do what you need them to do to compete. Do you have those players yet, Coach?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's what this whole process has been about for us is trying to find the right guys for us and what we're trying to do. And a bunch of tough, hard-nosed, resilient, smart, accountable guys, accountable to one another, and because ultimately you want a group of guys that you know at the end of the day they give you a chance to compete, and that's all we can ask for. And I think we got the right makeup of guys on this team that we feel like, hey, are we going to have a chance to win a game in the fourth quarter? And yeah, I mean, I like where these guys are at.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just looking at this video of you, Dan. How many of these guys can you still outlift? I mean, because you look jacked, man.
None of them.
None of them.
None of them.
Perception, all right? It's just perception, believe me. If I tried to do something they were doing right now, I would have another piece of this body would fall off.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, a guy who's trying to resurrect his let's call it reputation, is your quarterback, Jared Goff. I mean, he leaves or gets traded with Matt Stafford to the Rams or from the Rams, and Sean McVay just is like throwing dirt on top of dirt just to make him seem bad. Where is he mindset-wise? Because what he's saying is, it sounds like a leader. He says we're going to go from worst to first. Where is Jared Goff after your first training camp with him?
Yeah, look, Jared has been he's been really exceptional for us. I didn't know exactly what to expect. I liked the player, and having had to go against him, for 3 years before I got here in big games, man. And I mentioned this before. He always gave us fits, and we had a pretty good defense now in New Orleans. But that guy would stand in there. He was tough. He could make all the throws. They always put up a lot of points, and I always had a lot of respect for him. I didn't know. So I knew he was tough. I knew he'd won a lot of games, but I didn't know what kind of leader he was. I didn't quite know how composed he was. And after being around him, man, he's really, I tell you what, he's been impressive because he is. He's got a lot of composure, and he is tough. And I love to put him in tough situations as I do our team in these end-of-game situations and watch him kind of rise to the occasion, you know? I mean, it's something he thrives off of, and he's been good. I mean, we've asked him to do things he hadn't had to do before, and, when we did some things in the spring, working on protections, those things, it was new to him, and but since then, my gosh, he's grown, and he's gaining comfort and confidence with the old line and the receivers, and he is, man. He's been exceptional.
So we're talking to Dan Campbell, Lions' newest head coach here, and Dan, we've said it a million times. The identity that you're seeking is toughness and resilience and intelligence. Get that. Stylistically. I know it's going to vary week to week depending upon who you're playing, but in general sense, are we going to see a Lions team that comes out and throws it 35, 40 times a week, or 30 plus carries, more defensive oriented? Like right now, stylistically, what is the DNA of the team? What's the best part of the team, I should say?
Well, I mean, look, honestly, it's kind of tough to say because. Look, I do feel pretty good about this offensive line. I feel like where we're at overall. Let me say this: we are a young team, young team, and so we have a lot of youth. We have a lot of energy, but we're a little green. We're green in a lot of areas, but I would say, where's an area where you feel really good and you feel like there's You got some vets in the room, and you feel like you got a lot of talent. That old line is an area where you feel pretty good. And so, look, I think we'll be able to do some things in the run game that'll supplement the pass game. But I do feel like we have a quarterback now that can sling it around a little bit, and he can make some pinpoint throws. I think we got a tight end, a halfback, and some receivers that can get open, and so really I think it's going to be based on, man, who are we playing and how do we attack them?
Yeah.
Certainly you'd like to be more balanced, run pass, but I mean there's going to be games where it's going to make sense to maybe throw it a little bit more. So. There again, it's more about how do we get the ball to our playmakers, whether that's run or pass.
Dan, when you talk about the offensive line, you guys drafted Penei Sewell in the first round, and I know he struggled early in camp, as all young offensive linemen, really all young players will do, simply because of the volume of information you have to learn. Where is he, and how is he coming along? Because he was viewed as one of the great young offensive linemen coming in this draft. He obviously opted out of his previous season at Oregon, but where is he in his development?
Man, he's coming along. He gets better every day, and he's one of those guys. Every time he sees a rush from Romeo, Aquara, or Trey Flowers, he memory banks it, and he gets better for it, and he learns from it. And so it's funny how when a guy gets beat, normally you get frustrated, but for him, because he's been going against some pretty good rushers here in practice, and then even when he gets in those games, like he played at Pittsburgh, 2 weeks ago in that preseason game, and he got a dose of Melvin Ingram, and Melvin wasn't holding back either, and so he gets beat a couple of times, but it actually, as a head coach and coordinator, you actually get excited because you're like, man, this is the best thing for him right now. It's the best thing that could possibly happen to him is to get a legitimate rusher on him that has a different look than what he's been getting in practice. And the only thing I was hoping is that T.J. Watt would play that game too to give him something else because he'll learn from it. And so he is getting better. He improves every day. He's a good athlete. He's smart, and he is tough. And he adjusts quickly. So I would say he is growing at the rate that you would hope he would, and then some.
Good. Dan, do you get more nervous, if that's even the right word, but nervous before a game as a coach or when you were a player?
No, probably a player. I think they're both. I think they both carry their own unique circumstances. Here's where they both come into play, particularly when you're a head coach. No different than when you're a player and you have a job to do. Like, my fear comes with, man, did I give these guys enough, and am I going to give them enough of what I am to give them a chance to have success? When you're a player, you're a piece of the puzzle. Some are bigger pieces of the puzzle than others, like Tiki was for us. Mm-hmm. All right, I was a tiny piece. He was a large piece, but I had a job to do, and my fear was that I never wanted to let my teammates down. I wanted to do whatever it took to do my job and where they would trust me. And as a head coach, you're like, all right, man, it's my job to put these guys in the best position, whether it's practice schedules, how we're going to run the game management, who's up this week, all those things. And so I don't know if it's a fear, but it's one of those things that motivates the hell out of me because I don't want to be the reason that I cost our team.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Makes
I can
sense.
see that as well. All right, last one for you, Dan. Randy Bullock and Zane Gonzalez, you cut them both. Who's kicking for you guys in 2 weeks?
Well, we're going to go for two alive.
I like it.
And go for it on fourth. No, look, it's a good question. We've got our eyes on a couple of guys, and we'll see where this thing goes. But, until we know exactly what we're going to do, I'm just going to reserve that right now.
Yeah, it's all good. I was just messing with you.
And we're going to wait and see where this thing plays out at.
And Dan, by the way, when you laughed and you said, we're going to go for it on fourth down, I could actually see Dan like waving his hands, like telling the offense, get back on the field, get that tough yard. Like, to me, from our studio here in New York City, I expect to see that a lot on Sundays because you want to toughen up a team, go get that 1 yard and move the sticks. That's the best way to do it. I don't know, Teak, you think I'm wrong? I think this guy's going to go for the lot on fourth down.
School. If we know anything about Danny, I know a lot about him. He's old school.
Well, look, it does send a message that you're saying you trust your players.
True.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right.
You're putting it on them if you're going to do it. That's for sure.
Just not from your own 30 too often, Coach. Hey, Dan, really good having you back on. I know we'll be chatting throughout the season. We're rooting for you. A lot of love for that city. I worked there for 2 years early in my career when Ford Field opened. I know I-75 pretty well. Man, I used to live in Troy. Mixed it up with a lot of Lion fans, and they deserve it. And I think they've got somebody who's going to really give them everything they've got. So it's a good start, man. We're rooting for you, Dan.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Teak.
Appreciate you, Dan. Love to the family. Good luck, brother.
There you go, buddy. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.